Yeah.
So, everybody, we're going to just mute you. Uh, Nishka is going to mute everybody except for a few of us. I just request that nobody unmutes in the middle when somebody is speaking. It might disturb them. So, good evening and welcome to another edition of Just Speak. As Vasantha just said earlier, I'm Nalini Nanjundaya, the co-founder of Just Speak and your host for this evening. A very warm welcome to all our speakers who are here today. We're so thankful that you're with us, and we're really looking forward to hearing you. And a warm welcome also to those who have tuned in and who are with us today as listeners. Um, Thanks so much for spending the time and being with us. Okay, before we go on, let me give you a little bit about Just Speak. So Just Speak was started during the lockdown time. It was real. It was really a platform for us to have some kind of human interaction, for us to have knowledge sharing, to get people to speak out their ideas, because a lot of people went through very terrible times. And we thought this was a great platform for people to be on, connected. And I must say, Just Speak has been extremely successful. We also pride ourselves on having the best of speakers from across the globe. So I think that's another reason for our success. Now, we can't go on without an introduction of our founder. So our founder is Vasantha Vaikunth. Vasantha is a classical dancer and runs lifenliving.org, which provides emotional support to the urban community. She has many awards from the Government of India, the Sangeet Natak Academy Award, and the Bharata Pravasi Award. Presently, she is chairman for All South India Performing Arts, and she is also president of Wiki, WICCI, for Culture and Heritage. I'd like Vasantha to say a few words. Vasantha? Vasantha, will you unmute and come on?
Thank you so much, Nalini. Good evening, everyone. We are blessed as a team to have been able to successfully complete 6 editions of Just Speak. It's been my dream project, and particularly during the COVID times. And I sincerely thank all the great celebrities who have been accepting this platform all along. And the people who are present here are the true pillars and the bone of the stage. Because but for you people, I don't think Just Speak would have come this far. And I think I would like to introduce Nalini Nanjundaya. She works with corporates to train employees in business etiquette, cross-cultural issues, and communication. She runs a family trust, the Ellison, where she works with women and girl child towards their education and empowerment. Nalini is a Rotarian with Rotary Club Bangalore, and she's on the board of directors. She has won many awards for her outstanding services, and she's done her master's in London, UK. Yes, over to you, Nalini.
Thank you, Vasantha, for that wonderful introduction. And I'd like to introduce the other people on our team, starting with Reshma Rajpal. Reshma is a fitness enthusiast. With food and nutrition being her forte, she creates fashion events while closely working in the family business. Today's topic is very close to Reshma's heart because she has overcome a lot of her personal problems due to the right way of the lifestyle, her food, and exercise. We have with us also on the team Sirini Maiso. Sirini is an event facilitator. She's a council member of the Inner Wheel Club of Bangalore and the Ladies Circle. And she is one of us and a very integral part of Just Speak. So that's Just Speak for you. And now it's over to Vasantha once again. So Vasantha, please do share your views on this.
Thank you, Nalini, once again. I think as a founder, it's my duty to explain a little bit on the concept that we keep creating each time. So this time it is health and wellness, demystify health and wellness to be more clear. At this time, there are many experts and audience in the audience as well, and the speakers who are experts in health and wellness. But I think I would like to share a small bit for a minute. At this time and age where we are encircled in artificial intelligence, social media stress, and instant gratification, family system breaking down, mental illness put under the carpet, it is time to wake up and reinvent our lifestyle. This was the motivation for me to start this. And Just Speak is a platform that's going to demystify health and wellness for us today. And human body is a component of natural elements which needs regular nurturing. Mind is a data collector from the environment that needs cleaning or deleting the unproductive data to save its GB. Like how do you actually clear things from your computer to save the energy? The same way we need to clear and cleanse the mind at regular period, at the regular interval, just to keep your energy levels high. And the body mind sense complex is a structure that cannot be separated by any way. And we speak about global connection in economy, lifestyle, and relationships, but we are unable to cope with the pace of our own creation. But what about the connection between body, mind, and sense, which is even more important than your economic connections? And selfish economic projections, global mental illness, need-based relationships cannot get you harmony in life. In the body, good food habits are missing today. In the mind, there are no filters, and there is no compassion in relationships. Hence, there is no sustainable, happy lifestyle for us today. So never has the world seen so many gyms and machines to stretch human body. Never have we seen such obesity as well, and stress, demotivated and helpless look on human faces, not equipped to face changing lifestyle created by them, and suffering emotional upheavals, which is what I keep stressing on life and living basis. Now, talking of loneliness again, the root of all diseases in the world today is strange considering we're all globally connected with so many people through our machines anyway. But what are we doing? Where are we heading today? Wellness does not mean only calming through meditation and different techniques. It's a change of attitude to life. This is what I feel. And learning to live in the present. Exchange of finer emotions that can bring about wellness. And body reacts to your emotions and start feeling well. And flow of hormones happen without any blocks. And our devotion to our actions, acceptance and being grateful to the life given to us truly demystifies health and wellness. And when food creates energy, the emotions produce energy too. And people and environment also infuse energy into us. And wellness is about synchronizing all the energies together to keep a smooth flow of life. Thank you very much. Yes, over to you, Nalini. Unmute. You're muted.
Okay, I'm all right now. So, Vasantha, that was just amazing. It was such a good holistic perspective and approach to health, and I think your inputs were very valid. I'd request everybody to please stay muted because now we are going to be introducing the chief guest, Dr. Issac Mathai. Can we please have Dr. Mathai come in on the main screen? And he is the man behind SOUKYA. Doctor, I must tell you that SOUKYA has been on my must-visit list. And I'm sure a lot of people here will also be wanting to visit SOUKYA, and possibly in some time we'll be there. For those of you who would like to know more about SOUKYA, it's a first of its kind healing sanctuary, a residential medical institute where the focus is on health promotion, early intervention, and treatment of illnesses. They have a unique protocol which prescribes individual treatment schedules and custom prepared medicine for each person. By using time tested and natural systems of medicine like Ayurveda, homeopathy, yoga, naturopathy, and other complementary therapies to heal. This is a facility like no other amidst 30 acres of beautiful landscape. People who have visited here have returned feeling rejuvenated and cured. Our own Vasantha Vaikunth has come back glowing and feeling on top of the world after a few days with Dr. Issac and his wife. Dr. Issac Mathai and his wife have played host also to celebrities from all walks of life who have come for various treatments. Prince Charles and the Duchess of Cornwall being two amongst many. They are known for their visits to SOUKYA. So over to you, Doctor. Dr. Issac Mathai, what do you feel about holistic health? And let us know more about it. Let us learn from you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Nalini, for the good introduction. Thank you. And Vasantha, thank you so much for you to come and invite me, as well as coming to SOUKYA so many times. And today I can see the effect of that in you. You are glowing. And same with your husband. Vaikunth also, I can see that he's also glowing. I don't want to take the credit, that because of what the good work you are doing and good practices you practice yourself. That is what my idea of giving a talk today. The co-founders, Nalini, Reshma, Srini, all of them, thank you so much for organizing such an event. And I have to recognize the presence of Mahesh Bhupati. Is a world famous person, and he's also enthusiastic as well as a person who can improve, you can motivate people to improve their health and well-being. So what I'll do is I'll do a small presentation so people can get a better idea, and then after that, then question answer session we can do it. So if you can put me on to my presentation, then I can start with my my talk. Can I be the host?
Yes, doctor, we're just doing it. 1 second, huh? Just 1 second. You're on?
Okay, can you see my presentation now?
Yes.
So I am mainly talking about, and already Vasantha was talking about the basic essential understanding about health and wellness and holistic health. So I would say that the philosophy of holistic health is a concept of the person as a whole. Especially the World Health Organization defined health as a state of complex, complete physical, mental, social well-being, and not merely the absence of disease. Now you know that with the COVID is again and again make everybody in the world understand this, that you cannot just buy health. You cannot just do this, and your immune system, your well-being, your mind-body connection, everything. I can talk for even a long, again, only with the COVID for a long time, how the anxiety can depress your immune system. I have seen a lot of patients or people, the anxiety alone is causing other health issues because of anxiety for COVID, or your environment, or your oxygen, or all these aspects are equally important for the health and well-being. So, but the holistic health give a little bit multi-dimensional understanding about health. It is not only the connection of the mind, body, spirit. I'll talk about that a little later, but this physiological, psychological, sociological, environmental, nutritional, emotional, and spiritual well-being. I can even take each aspect and see that how in a disease state, or going to be in a disease state, illness state, or in a normal state, how all these aspects. Maybe about 25 years ago, when I was talking about the environmental factors, the world was not that aware about the impact of the environmental factors in your health and well-being. Now you know majority of the cancers, a lot of chronic diseases, and also intestinal diseases because of the pesticides and the unhealthy food we are eating, how that is affecting our health and diseases. and the importance of nutrition. Nutrition is not only about taking extra vitamins, but your day-to-day life, what quality of food you use, and the amount of vitamins and other things naturally you can get it, and the importance of vegetarian food and reducing the processed food and all that. These are all causing a large amount of chronic diseases. The psychological issue, all of you know. But what happened is, because of the Western medical understanding about psychological or psychiatric diseases are away from the physical diseases, they keep it as a compartment. And I haven't seen a single chronic disease person without a psychological involvement in their, whether the stomach upset to cardiac condition to blood pressure to diabetes, anything. When you analyze it, we'll see a lot of psychological. That's not necessary that psychologically is a psychiatric condition, because a simple anxiety or your apprehension or your emotional turmoil or sensitivity, all this can add on to your disease conditions. And there's a methodology in holistic health to improve that situation, to improve the health. And spiritual well-being, this is the one area a lot of people have a question marks about what is the spiritual aspect you are talking about. But again, once you balance in your spirit, because any diseases have three-dimensional effect, especially the chronic diseases. Whereas the physical body, it's very easy. Then the mind is also very easy to understand. But the effect of the spirit with the deep acting trauma or issues or guilt or hundreds of things like that, which in our analysis always very easy, we bring it out and make people to understand. So so when you look at the three-dimensional, the body, it is very easy to see the body. You get a pain, you get a blockage, you get a symptom. So it's easy, very easy for us to understand the nature of healing in the body, because we can understand the condition, state. But in the healing of the mind, yes, it's not visible. Even so many cases, the patient or a person himself, I don't want to call everybody a patient, a person himself doesn't know that he has that situation with the mind that may be needed by an outside person to understand or analyze it and do it. And coming to the spirit, it is completely invisible. So even the person or an outside person cannot understand that there is an issue with the spirit. And some of the techniques which you use in our holistic treatment will help in this aspect. And the state of being is a balance to imbalance. Majority of the people without any symptoms or anything like that or any health issues, then I would say that a balanced state. But then when they constantly, with any of the reasons, the bad food or immune system or your habits or your diet or your psychological issue, anything like that, you can move into a imbalanced state. From the imbalanced state, if you are not balancing by your lifestyle or your practices or your good practices and eating habits and all that, then when you get an ill health, majority of the people actually thinking about even meeting a doctor is only when they get an ill health. That is, in my opinion, is the third stage of your imbalanced state. But then when you get into disease state, when there is a pathological situation or a diagnosis like diabetes or IBS or arthritis or anything like that, that is the only time most of the people even approach somebody to take care of that situation. So a lot of things are there for your ill health. The lifestyle, the stress which is now everywhere is affecting not only the adult or stressful people in the children with the schools with their academic performance, everything, or their relationship with their other friends and other people. That is major thing on stress, which is causing a lot of immune deficiency diseases, which will represent very easily in multiple ways and even in the kids. Then the poor eating habits, you know that. I would say that about 50% of the disease conditions are coming out of, in today's world, poor eating habits or in what you are eating, the wrong things are in what you are eating in so many different ways. And the work environment and the emotional imbalances, sleep disorder, lack of rest. The sleep is another major area. People won't give much importance to it. Sleep is one area that is very, very important for our improvement of your health and well-being. The rest, again, sleep and rest is connected with that. And the lack of exercises, which is very, very, very important. And today's world, because of the computers and laptops and phones, the wrong postures. I haven't seen many people without a wrong neck, and that has caused a lot of problems in the later stage, which is in a wrong posture. The interpersonal relationship, whether in a work environment, your friends or your work, for your family or wherever it is, that is, and the major thing which I mentioned earlier is the environmental pollution, which is a major thing from cancer to allergic condition to so many diseases. So how do you do this healing of the individual? Healing of the individual, there are several ways to do it. I'm not going to go through all the points because of lack of time. So the accepting the problem, seeking for the healing, believe in the process, and the positive approach towards it, that will make a big difference in the healing of an individual. Where the healing of the body, as I said earlier, Vasantha was also talking about the toxicity. The toxicity, releasing of the toxin itself will make the body system to perform better. Your own environment, how much clean environment you are living in and breathing everyday basis, that has a huge impact on your lungs to your immune system to everywhere. And the functioning of the body, exercises, all these aspects we can do for your body. And the next phase, when you look at it, healing of the mind. Healing on the mind is some of the most beautiful tools for healing of the mind is from the breathing. Our yogic knowledge of India's yogic knowledge is an amazing effect in different kind of pranayamas, different type of breathing exercises. All have a huge impact in our health and well-being. So it is not only a spiritual practice, definitely that will affect your spiritual practices also, but of the breathing has a huge important impact. Other one is awareness of the self. I always ask my guests or patients that how many of you are aware about yourself? And majority of the people, they don't know what is the meaning of your awareness about self. And we encourage people while they are staying over there to improve that awareness in a big way. And the mindfulness, in the mindfulness of mindful eating itself is so difficult for us to introduce among people. Mindful walking, mindful action, mindful performances, all that has a day-to-day basis impact on our mind. And the emotion, control or balance of your emotion, more than control, I would say balance of your emotion. That also will help with a lot of day-to-day practices, help a lot with our balance of your emotions. Then the spirit, the power of prayers, whether you believe in prayer or not, whether you believe in God or not, the impact of the power of prayers in your spirit is an amazing impact. And the effect of meditation and the benefit of the silence. A lot of people, they don't know how to do silence. And even just by doing for 3 days or 1 hour each, a silence practice will have a huge impact on your spirit and your mind and thus in your physical body. And the self-dialogue, which we encourage a lot by giving space and time for people, that's very important. It's not necessary that you should go to a health center to do that. You can go to an ashram, you can go to Himalayas, you can go to a mountain, you can go anywhere to have that dialogue, have that silence, have to do the meditation and the impact of prayer and self-dialogue to cleanse ourselves, our own mind and our own spirit and our own actions. Just like our detoxification of our physical body, detoxification of mind and detoxification of the spirit is equally important. And what, when you look at the philosophical way, all this aspect, which are the thing, India has the rich tradition of having these different systems of medicine, like Ayurveda, Yoga, Naturopathy, Unani, Siddha, and Homeopathy systems of medicine, along with the Western medicine. And that is the benefit of using. Now the present government is very supportive, and especially in the COVID time, the Prime Minister is also recommended different things, not against COVID, but about importance of improving your health and well-being. So using different herbs, using different day-to-day practices, using different things like a turmeric to tulasi to different things on a daily basis, and do yoga and practices, simple things like cleansing of your mouth to cleansing of your intestine to things like that, that will have a huge impact on a long-term basis, not only about one COVID or other disease or thing, even overall health and performance. You know that the latest studies are showing a lot about the amount of bacteria, healthy bacteria in your intestine. That is trillions of bacteria. Actually, the bacteria are more number than our own cell. Then you have to ask ourselves the question whether the bacteria is running our show or ourselves are running the show. Even the bacteria has an influence in our thought process. Even the thought process of even mental anxiety and things are scientifically proved. But in thousands of years ago, Ayurveda mentioned that every disease is starting from the intestine, from the liver and metabolism. So once you do the cleansing, once you do that kind of treatments or practices, it's not necessary that you should go to a doctor to do all this. You can have your own practices to cleanse your intestine, fasting, proper diet. All these things will help a lot with your health and well-being and long-term health. So then there is for to do the traditional treatment, will help a lot with the mind, body, spirit connection. And all the treatments are always connecting all the elements of this, including the environment, including your lifestyle, eating habits, all that things. Ayurveda has thousands of years using this technique, which is the Ayurvedic treatments of Panchakarma. That's a detoxification, purification, and rejuvenation treatment, which will be on a 21 days or 28 days. I have seen people coming and doing that for 21 to 28 days in the last 14, 15 years. And some of them are now in their 80s, but interestingly, they are better in every aspect than 20 years ago. So this type of ancient treatments and everything, when people utilize it, even if you do it for a 15 days of treatment or a 10 days of treatment with the detoxification and rejuvenation, that will improve a lot, not only your health situation, but other faculties like your improvement of your sleep, improvement of your memory, concentration, emotional state, all that. So these treatments are not for disease. That's why Ayurveda say that Ayurvedic treatments are to prevent and early intervention. And the last phase of Ayurveda treatment is only for those who are diseased and then do the. So there are things like rejuvenation, lack of time. I'm not talking about it. You are very aware, and now the population is aware about tulsi and turmeric and all the benefits of all these things. But this has to be done on a daily basis or a few times a week basis. That will add on to our health and well-being and change it. And so the entire idea of holistic healing and wellness is life in imbalance to life in balance. So the concept is to people should take the responsibility. They have to do their things, and only a foolish people wait until they get diseased and go to a doctor. I'm talking about any system of medicine, allopathy, homeopathy, Ayurveda, naturopathy. You go to a doctor much before, and you go to a physician who can improve your health and well-being rather than only give you medicines to treat your diseases. Thank you. Change it. Change it.
Can we stop sharing the screen?
Yes, please.
Thank you, Doctor. That was just fantastic. And I've got to tell you that I have been following what you have suggested about haldi, ginger, and all first thing in the morning. And I must say, feeling good about it. But before I go on, I'd like to inform everybody that we are honored to have somebody as big as SOUKYA present with us, demystifying health today. Okay, so we've had this wonderful, thank you, Doctor. It was so wonderful. And I'm glad that we are recording this so that once it's up on YouTube, people all over the world will be able to see what you have to say. Our next speaker, but before that, we have a few questions for you. Vasantha Vaikunth would like to ask you a question first, Doctor. Vasantha, would you like to come in with your question?
Yes, thank you, Doctor. That was very enlightening talk by you, and I think I've experienced everything in SOUKYA many times. But I want to know from you, like we do hear of spas and resorts and health healing places. Many times we have heard it, and we still have many mushrooming everywhere. In what way you think SOUKYA is different from all of them?
Thank you. It's a good question that, okay, even if you go to a spa or a beach side and relax yourself or a mountain, it all have positive impact. Or if you take a holiday, good holiday, not shopping holiday, good holiday, it has its own impact on your health and well-being. So the wellness side, you do exercises, you do the walking, you eat proper, you go to some places, you do a meditation, asana, all that is good for people's self-help. But then when you come to the professional approach to a spa or a beach resort or a hotel cannot provide that. That's what the professional people like us, whether you run a naturopathic center alone or a homeopathic or Ayurvedic center, or our Soukya is different in a way that we integrate different systems of medicine under one roof. So we are medically highly professional, as well as we treat a large number of very complex medical conditions coming from all over the world, where the topmost Western medical doctors are sending them to us because we are unique and we are first of this kind in the world, and such complex cases come for medical treatment. Because of our skill in medical treatment and analyzing in a holistic way, 7 to 10 years before somebody develop a diabetes or arthritis or a neurological disorder, we will be able to identify that by assessment. That is a holistic assessment when you do. And when you incorporate the treatment appropriately for that person and execute that over a short period or a long period of time, the health will reverse in a huge way. Our treatment effect was measured in England in a very expensive test, where even 10 days of treatment will reduce your inflammatory markers. It's not my treatment, it is the ancient India's treatment methodology. We practice it in the most purest format. That's only a difference. So combining different treatment, not only the inflammatory markers and your detoxification and metabolic changes and liver changes, which is visible in a medical test, including 21 days of Panchakarma, the toxins of the DNA getting released and cleared. That much of powerful effect is the treatment. So when you do any of the ancient treatment, when you go to a genuine Ayurveda place, not in a hotel or a beach resort, a genuine Ayurveda place, genuine naturopathic place, or any such yoga centers, which have a medical expertise, that will give you an amazing positive impact on your health. And that is what I recommend people, that not about Soukya alone. There are so many other good institutions do good work, and professional help and doctors' involvement by deep understanding is the most important thing.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Doctor. Yes, over to you,
Thank
Nalini.
you. Thank you, Doctor. That was wonderful. I have a question for you. So there are certain illnesses or conditions like osteoporosis, arthritis, psoriasis, etc. Now, Soukya, what would you say? How would you treat it, or is it something that can something be done about this?
I would say any chronic diseases, we can improve the situation. Improve. I don't want to use the word cure for everything. But early stages of arthritis, even I mentioned earlier that even arthritis, before it develops into a painful inflammatory stage itself, 7 to 10 years before that, you can see, if you analyze it, you can see that how it's popping up. But even if in the last stage, we are treating patients from US, when they are in the last stage of deformity, we can improve that situation by our treatment. No question, but it cannot be only one visit or two visits, maybe several visits. Osteoporosis, for example, in the right time, especially menopausal phase, you do appropriate metabolic balancing and appropriate diet and treatment, you can prevent. But if somebody already has, it will take about 3 years for our treatment every year basis with internal medicines in between. And calcium and vitamin D and all that, along with that, it can reverse it. But we are very frank and honest about what we can treat and what we cannot treat. Lot of medical conditions, last stage of cancers and things, even we cannot treat, and cure is a secondary thing. But at the same time, I can say that a very complex condition where the Western medicine cannot do anything at all, like a cirrhosis of liver or neurological disorders, early stage of Parkinsonism and all the multiple sclerosis, all that optical neuritis, people spend more than $1 million in US, came to us, and 3 visits, they are completely cured. And I talk about completely reversed. So completely reversible diseases are there. Improvement is possible. Some cases we can maintain it in a better shape and reduce the allopathic Western medicines. So our approach is going with allopathic doctors and going with the chronic diseases, work together. And our philosophy is not what we practice, the patient first or the person first. What is the best option for the person? Somebody's chronic constipation can change only by drinking hot water. Why should I give any medicine? So teach him how to drink hot water. That's our role. So our role is to help as a guide, as a monitoring person, as a helping, holding the hand, educate them and making them to do the work. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And that was really, really helpful, because this is something which disturbs a lot of people. And it's good to know that, early intervention is the right thing. Thank you. Our next speaker today is Mr. Siddharth Ramasubramanian. He is the CEO of Vegolution. And I would like to add here that Vegolution has partnered with us today with Just Speak, and we are very happy to have Mr. Siddharth Ramasubramanian with us. A little bit about Vegolution. It's a conscious food venture that seeks to address the glaring nutritional gap in Indian vegetarian diet. Channeling his 2 decades of experience in food service, he has founded this novel company to offer a diverse experience for the Indian consumer with their daily food choices. After spending a year with conducting hands-on research and taste trials, Siddharth has set up Vegolution, a company that will launch a range of 100% vegetarian protein made from super beans. Having contributed to the opening and operations of over 50 successful destination restaurants across the globe during his hospitality career, Siddharth realized that the joy of discovering great food brings people together like nothing else. Through Vegolution, he envisions developing products that will help conscious foodies form new, positive, and lasting bonds with what they eat. By the way, Siddharth, I have tried your food and I find it awesome. I find it really good, and I'm sure it'll be a hit in Bangalore. So it's over to you, Siddharth. We'd like to hear what you have to say.
Good. Thank you very much, Nalini. Hope everybody can hear me fine. Good evening to everybody. Thank you, Dr. Matthias. I have also been to SOUKYA and can't wait to come back. And I'm not just saying that because you're here. Even the few days that I was there made a difference. And I guess continuing in the line, but I guess talking about health and wellness from a slightly different standpoint. My background is in opening restaurants and hotels. So everything that I think about is about how do you get people to actually do things, right? How we're not as much in the business about dispensing advice as we are in the business of getting people to actually make changes. And we weren't really sure what we wanted to do in India, but we know we wanted to be in food. And I wasn't sure whether I wanted to sell fried samosas or whether we wanted to do something different. And so when we spent about close to 6 months trying to understand consumers in India, especially people living in the top 10 to 15 cities, which is where we spend most of our time, the one thing that became clear is, and deeply motivated me, was that we need to create a Vegolution. And a Vegolution is all about us playing our own small part in taking India from what I call a nutrition gap to being nutrition positive. And that's sort of our reason for existence. And, it sounds lofty, but, we have to start somewhere. And if we look at it at a macro level, it's pretty simple. Numbers don't lie. And if you took something as simple as protein consumption, India ranks lowest in the world, outside of some countries in Africa, in terms of per capita protein consumption. Okay, and I'm not talking about protein consumption to be a bodybuilder. I'm just calling basic sustenance levels of protein for men and women. You add B12, you add iron, and we continue to rank amongst the lowest in the world in many of those. So that was deeply motivating for me when we were just looking at these statistics. But I'll tell you one thing, consumers don't eat food because of statistics. People don't read the paper and say, oh my God, there's a protein gap in India. Let me go get myself some protein. People consume food because it's tasty. People consume food because somebody they trust and respect or love asked them to try it once and they loved it. There's so many different reasons. So when we started looking at actually how people behave, specifically in India, we're so driven by what we eat at home, and we're so driven by what we eat with others.
Hello?
And yeah, are you able to hear me? Okay, are we good? Okay, cool. And what we ended up understanding, which may seem intuitive to many, is that most consumers that we spoke to between the ages of, call it 28 to 50, across a variety of different settings, individual, at their home, in their kitchen, are actually in the hunt to make an improvement. People actually have a desire, whether it's to consume more protein, whether it's actually consume less carbs, whether it's actually change certain things in their diet, there is a hunger to do it. there is this desire to do it, but they're deeply confused, and rightfully so. There is a new diet popping up everywhere. There is new claims coming through. There are, processed foods that make it easy and convenient to lose weight. And so while there is this deep desire on one end to make meaningful change, there is deep confusion on the other on what that change ought to be. And what we basically understood and what we got out of it is people are looking to build healthy relationships with food, right? Whether it's to lose weight, whether it's to gain muscle, whether it's post-pregnancy, whatever it is, people are just trying to have a healthy relationship with food so they don't swing the pendulum either into extreme diets on one end or just not caring on the other end. So with sort of armed with that kind of knowledge, where people are confused, we decided that we were going to address a specific group of people. And where we found the biggest gap was amongst vegetarians. Vegetarians in India, whether and there's a few different ways to look at it. Typically, statistics would tell us that 70% of India is non-vegetarian and 30% of India is vegetarian. Now, some of you might be scratching your head going, that doesn't make any sense, but that is in fact true from a labeling standpoint. But when you really look at it and start digging deeper, what you find is that majority of Indians are actually consuming vegetarian food most of the time. That even when they label themselves as a non-vegetarian, majority of the week, they're actually consuming vegetarian food. And so when you look at what I call pure vegetarian, I call them special occasion non-vegetarians, casual non-vegetarians, they're consuming the majority of the vegetarian meals. And when we spoke to them, what we began to understand is that they were struggling for choices, right? And it's easy to switch sugar with jaggery. It's easy to make a choice between white rice and brown rice, between this bread and that bread. But when it came to the main plate solutions, people were struggling for options. Like, where do I get my protein from, right? And I don't want to have a protein shake. I don't want to eat 3 protein bars in a day. I don't want to pop pills for protein. Like, how do I get it in my food? They say I should eat paneer. And, I jokingly say that, the one thing I did find is there's huge amounts of paneer fatigue in the country. People are like, no, I want protein, but no more paneer, no more paneer. And so what we realized is that people are actually looking for options. People are actually trying to build a healthy relationship with food. And what we found is the vegetarians had the biggest gap, while people who regularly consume non-vegetarian food, park what we think about animal protein and animal diets, had far more options when it came to main plate food. So what we have done at Vegolution, sort of taking the nutrition gap, but also understanding that people want convenience. People want things that are easy to make. We decided we're going to build a health company, a health food company that did not preach about health, that only made tasty food. Because what we ultimately realized is that when you tell somebody this is health and this is healthy food, the 25 to 50-year-old audience, and it doesn't mean people above that age group will not consume it, but this audience that needs the solution the most immediately switch off. Because in typical marketing, when the minute you say something is healthy, people just go, it's not going to be tasty. And the minute you say something's tasty, it's not going to be healthy. And if we want to actually fix the nutrition problem, what we're actually not solving is the nutrition problem. We're solving a taste problem. We're trying to fix taste. We're trying to get people to have fun with food. We're saying it's okay to have it with a drink. It's okay to enjoy it. Your kids will love it and they won't complain. And in fact, we have to mask health while we're actually trying to fill the nutrition gap. And that's where we have landed with Vegolution and the product range that we're looking to launch, which is ready to eat, ready to cook, convenient for moms to make for kids, and using a ton of different flavors that are all clean label and all natural. And ultimately, at the end of the day, it's great if we create a health food company that services people who are affluent and people who are wealthy and people who are well-traveled, but that's not our ambition. We know those folks, and many of you on this call will come, will try it, will be able to afford it. But the only way we can really make a difference is if middle-class India that's trying to build that healthy relationship with food has an alternative to a paneer, has an alternative to something that they're actually happy to eat without the family complaining. So far less profound and has a lot to do with branding and a lot to do with consumption. But truly, if we need to make a difference, we actually have to get people to start having fun and start enjoying the taste of health. So I look forward to launching this. We look forward to launching this in February. We're launching it in Bangalore, and we hope to make a difference over a period of time. As we like to say in our company, it's performance with purpose. So hopefully all of you will get a chance to try it soon. Thank you.
Thanks, Siddharth. I mean, that was wonderful. It's really, you know, what you said is so true, because your food tastes so good, and I'm sure that anyone who wants to eat protein will definitely eat it, will enjoy it, and will love it. Thank you again for partnering with us today at Just Speak. Thanks to Vegolution for having joined us today. I think we have with us today Anu Ganapati, who has a question for you, Siddharth. Anu, would you like to unmute and come and ask your question?
Hey, Siddharth, can you hear me?
Yeah, hi, Anu.
Hey, how are you? Good to see you, and so good to hear from you all about Vegolution. And the food that I tasted last year that you guys sent over was fabulous, just fantastic, very, very tasty food. And are you able to hear me? Because I see you're able to hear me.
I can, yeah.
So, I mean, creating a new market is always a challenge. And I think you've done your due diligence. You found where the niche, you know, where there is a necessity for healthy food, for something that's an alternative, all of that stuff. But what is it that has drawn all the gourmet stores and the regular supermarket kind of stores to your product? And where can we find it? Do we find them in the health food section? Will we find them in the regular supermarket section? Where do you expect to be selling that?
Yeah. For us, generally speaking, we're trying to be on the main food aisle. You know, just very simply put, everybody buys paneer, right? And everybody buys milk. For us, our goal is to be a healthy staple, so that actually you make a difference when people are consuming it and reconsuming it, and it becomes part of their life. So yeah, you might find it in the health aisle, but to us, that's a little bit of a dangerous ground, because you only get to help so many people. You get to people highly evolved, highly aware, highly conscious people. But the people who are only mildly conscious, they're not shopping in the health aisle necessarily. They're shopping in the main grocery aisle. So we have to be available, and that has to do with price. So we worked extremely hard. When somebody wants to find, you know, more protein, we're fortifying our products with B12 and iron naturally as well. So it's high in B12, high in iron, high in protein, but we're pricing it at the same price as paneer. So that's been a huge exercise. It's probably taken us 6 months longer than we would like, but in India, if you can't win on price, forget trying to sell health.
Thank you.
Thank you. We have Reshma, who would like to ask you a question too, Siddharth. So Reshma, would you like to come in?
Yeah. Hi, Siddharth.
Hi.
Thank you so much, and our esteemed panelists, for being here. It has been really insightful. This topic is very close to my heart, as Nalini told earlier. And with exercise, fitness, and the right nutrition, we can combat any disease, physical or mental, and heal ourselves, as I've experienced firsthand with the help of Dr. Somya Rout. I just have one question for you, and congratulations again, Siddharth. Can't wait for the launch of Vegolution. It is not easy to eat healthy and also achieve great taste. How will you address that with your new product?
Yeah, I think health and taste it's the tough one. I don't know that we've cracked it. The consumer will vote when we launch, but I'll tell you, what we have done is we realized very early that if I position something and we said, oh, guess what? My food has lots of protein, great in B12, fortified with iron, natural source of calcium. By the time I got to the fourth list the person who I was talking to was almost falling asleep. But when I said, hey, this has great natural protein, it comes in a Szechuan chili flavor, and you can make cutlets with it. And oh, by the way, your kids gets B12. They were like, oh, what kind of cutlets? And so for us, the magic was in actually realizing that if we can bring great flavor, it took Kellogg's 15 years to realize that in order to be successful, they have to make upma, right? So we're just trying to short circuit some of that to say, it took McDonald's 5 years to figure out that their largest selling product would be an aloo tikki. So what we're trying to figure out is how do we not lift and shift from the West and say, just because some solution of food is working in the West, let's drop it here. And everybody is going to be enamored by your list of great nutritional credentials. No, people want their tawa masala taste, and they want to make a great cutlet so that their husband doesn't complain, or their kid doesn't complain, or the wife doesn't say, who's working as well. So it's a lot of those little tricks and things that we have tried to incorporate in order to kind of not just make it health only, but you know, we could be proven wrong and have to change lots of things when we open. So we've just done our best shot.
And I've tasted it and it's great. I just love it. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Siddharth. Sorry? Thank you, Siddharth. And you're so right, because taste and, you know, what I liked especially when I sampled this was that you had even added some international cuisine. I tasted something which was a Thai curry, and that's so good because it's so easy to cook and very nutritive. You throw in a few vegetables, fabulous. So I think your product's going to do very well. I wish you all the best. And thanks again for Vegolution to partner with us this evening.
Thank you very much for having me. Thank you, everybody.
Yeah. Our next speaker is Dr. Suja Issac Mathai, again from SOUKYA. Once again, I'd like to mention that SOUKYA has joined in with Just Speak to present Demystifying Health and Wellness. A little bit about Dr. Suja. Dr. Suja holds a PhD in Food and Nutrition and has graduated with a BSc in Home Science and went on to do her MSc and MPhil in Foods and Nutrition. She was a professor in the Women's Christian College, Chennai, and in the Mount Carmel College, Bangalore, where she taught food and nutrition and related subjects. Dr. Suja is the driving force behind the design, architecture, and landscaping of SOUKYA. Due to her passion and innate sense of design, aesthetics, and critical attention to minute details, SOUKYA has turned out to be a haven, not only to guests from all over the world, but also an abode for rare species of birds and animals. Dr. Suja works shoulder to shoulder with her husband, and let's hear her ideas on health and wellness. Over to you, Dr. Suja.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Vasantha, for inviting me for this program. I am honored to be speaking to amongst other eminent speakers. And I just wanted to share a few tips with you because I know that we have a restraint on time. So I thought I would just share a few things that may be common knowledge, but may not be true. So I just wanted to kind of re-clarify on certain points. One thing, I would like to take food from start to finish, from the point of whether you have, like we are located on a 30-acre organic farm. Research studies have also shown that organic foods have a higher antioxidant content compared to conventionally grown foods. So starting from there, you have, I'm just going to spell out the different points which will help in terms of the food and nutritive value that we consume. So organic foods have more antioxidants. For getting the maximum vitamins and minerals out of your fruits and vegetables, it's always best, as you know, to have as fresh fruits and vegetables. What is seasonal is something that needs to be consumed rather than having something which is shipped from across the seas. Something locally grown, something if it's homegrown, it's even great because everyone can start even your own little, even if you have a balcony space or a small kitchen garden, having fresh fruits, nothing like it. Also, the other thing is when you cook vegetables, it is important to have, you cook it with this, when you clean the vegetable, You cook it with the skin so that it avoids the leaching of the vitamins into the water. So you don't lose your vitamins and minerals that way. So you have it, for example, even if it's a potato, you boil it with the skin and then you peel it later so that it prevents leaching of your vitamins and minerals. What Siddharth was mentioning earlier, I think with Soukya, we've attempted to kind of make a food which is organic and healthy and tasty. I think what we find very often and over the years that we've served the ovo-vegetarian cuisine in Soukya, if we stay with minimizing on the amount of spices. Spices are important, yes. Each one adds value, your garlic, your ginger, coriander, all of it, turmeric. But I think if you tone down on the spices, you get the flavor of the particular vegetable, comes forward. And therefore one is able to taste different, have a variety of tastes. Rather than more the masala taste, it's more the flavor of vegetables. We have a lot of guests who normally don't have vegetarian food who tell us that, oh, wow, I didn't realize that vegetarian food can be so tasty. So I think the secret is just to tone down on the spices. It's possible to make it healthy, either you roast or you steam, boil or grill rather than, fry, deep fry, or even shallow fry. And in fact, we should be bringing out a cookbook shortly, with all our recipes. A lot of our guests ask us about that. How it is possible to make healthy food, which is tasty, I would say. The next thing is in terms of the food. When you're eating, it's important to be mindful of what you're eating, to be at peace. One thing which we have realized is being mindful of what you eat, appreciating the food that you're eating, the gratitude that you have while having food on your plate. Even having a peaceful mind when you're eating is very important for a good digestion and metabolism. If somebody's in an angry mood, sometimes they have an adverse reaction to even the food that they're eating. So I think it is important to be peaceful and calm when you're eating food and be in the moment while you're eating and appreciating the food. Things in Soukya, because though I've, what I feel is we've studied Western nutrition, but having dealt with our Ayurvedic doctor team and the naturopathic doctors, there's a lot that we have learned over here in terms of an integrative nutrition, where we incorporate the benefits of the different nutrition, the Ayurvedic nutrition, the nutrition that comes from the naturopathic advice. So one such is, interestingly in Ayurveda, they say don't mix cooked and uncooked. Ideally, if it's possible, try to stay with something which is either an entire cooked meal. They even say to the extent of water, even when you boil water, boil and cool it and drink it, rather than you have boiled water and mix it with cold water. It's, Ayurveda says it's always better to cool it because it's like a mix of a boiled water and a raw water. It's not ideal. So that is another thing that from the Ayurvedic perspective. It's always good, I think we also know, to have even liquids or beverages in room temperature ideally, rather than have it iced or cold drinks. And particularly, if somebody has respiratory conditions, it's also important to have things which are at least in room temperature or warm. The other thing we always talk about is, food calories. There is a lot more important things than just the calorific value of foods. I think what we need to keep in mind is the nutritive value of foods, how much we are able to maximize from the vegetables or the food. Have a balanced meal where you have a combination of carbohydrates, proteins, fats, vitamins, minerals, trace elements, all of it in every meal. And ideally get it from the actual food source than any substitute. I mean, that is the best way of where the body can absorb and maximize on the nutritive value of the foods that is consumed. One thing is, in a family, for example, you'll notice that there could be a child who puts on weight as against a child who's lean. This is because of the Ayurvedic Prakriti, one. So they have different doshas, so they also respond differently to the food. Also with the same food which is given to all members of the family, how you metabolize that also determines, and how you process that food also determines how you respond to the food. Whether a child puts on weight or a child doesn't put on weight, eating the same food that is served at the table. So it is not only just the calories that plays into is a point of consideration when you're talking about people about weight loss or things. It's also metabolism is equally and if not more important. The other thing is commonly, yes, it's impossible. Sometimes we take our children, we're talking about so much of healthy lifestyle. Once in a way, when children do want to have a Coke or, junk food, then the option is, we recommend as nutritionists, we say it is better to have, for example, rather than having a Diet Coke, you have, a regular Coke. The reason being, one is colored, one is like sugar water, if you were to say, just to put it in a simplest form of understanding. One is sugar water and the other one is chemical sugar water. So we as nutritionists, we always say it is better to have sugar water. That is, even if you're having a situation where you need to choose between one, we suggest that you go for a regular Coke over a Diet Coke. I mean, though as much as possible, we would recommend, in a healthy lifestyle, to try and avoid all of these aerated beverages, but rather stick with either tender coconut or fresh fruit, which doesn't have any added sugar. There is so much of a variety over there, and hopefully, stores have this and are able to provide it with no loss of their nutritive element. The other thing, which also with children particularly, we say it's preferable to avoid chewing gum, for example. When you chew gum, your mouth is salivating, the gastric juices, start getting in because the stomach is preparing for the food to come in. But when you chew gum, there's no food coming in, and then you have a lot of gastric juices in the stomach. So ideally, it is best, even if children have to chew gum, chew it for a while, but not for a very long time, because what happens is the stomach is waiting for food which doesn't come, and that kind of has an impact on the lining of the stomach over a period of time. I'm not talking about a once in a way chewing gum, but a regular practice if somebody is having that. So, we're talking about, when we talk about the different foods, we also know that different foods have different effects on the body. For example, we call them as mood foods. A carbohydrate food is more calming. A protein food, keeps the person alert. So, for example, if you have a hyperactive child, try to put the child on a more carbohydrate diet rather than a protein diet, because then they're already hyperactive, and having a protein diet makes them even more hyperactive. So, having something which is like a calming food, is important. For example, I think there's a lot of wisdom in our traditions. For example, you typically see, in the movies, before you go to sleep, you have the milk and banana. It's the tryptophan content which increases the serotonin, which helps in sleep. So actually, if you were to look at it, the wisdom of, the ancient wisdom that one had passed on, having these kind of foods before sleep is very good, because it is conducive to sleeping well and having a good sound sleep. The other thing is also, when you're having food, there's a lot of talk about fiber. By having soluble fiber, for example, let's say you have oats, which is very good if somebody wants to lower the glucose, for diabetics or those who want to reduce their cholesterol. What happens in the elimination process of there's an ongoing process of when you eat food, it gets metabolized, and there's an elimination of glucose or cholesterol into the gut for it to be eliminated out of the system. If these molecules of glucose and cholesterol do not bind to a soluble fiber, it can tend to get reabsorbed back into the system. So therefore, your soluble fiber is actually helping get rid of the glucose or the cholesterol out of your system. And even if you take, they say cholesterol free, the body synthesizes cholesterol. So there's no getting away from that. So the best thing is to take a high soluble fiber diet, so that it helps, especially those who are diabetic or they have cholesterol. It helps lessen the level of glucose and cholesterol in the blood. Like earlier speakers had mentioned, intestinal health. I think the prebiotic fiber, that is the fiber, is required for the probiotics, for the growth of the probiotics. And as earlier said, it also has an influence. Our thought process are also influenced by because of this. So the other thing is high fiber also helps eliminate constipation. I think if we just look at it, and if we understand our body in terms of, when you have constipation, there is a buildup of pressure. The buildup of pressure in the entire the gut, it has an impact. It could have an impact even on blood pressure. So therefore, a high fiber diet helping to eliminate and not preventing constipation will thereby also help for, not prevent blood pressure or reduce blood pressure. I think over here we'd like to say, because you, being as Indians, we've heard very much of the 5 elements of nature. Earth. I mean, here we're talking about the food that we have is, the earth content of the food. It's essential to talk about water. Water, which is, the hydration. It's important to have the body to be in a positive water balance, rather than in a negative water balance. And having an alkaline pH is important in the body. It also helps in many medical conditions. It helps maintaining a healthy body. Air, oxygen, good breathing because of yoga, exercises. You need the oxygen even for proper exercise, for the proper utilization of the nutrients. I would say fire, 2 aspects. The internal fire is, I would say, something like the spices, which each does its bit. Garlic helps lower cholesterol. The different spices has its own, as you all know about immunity, which is being talked about. The external, I think, we talk about vitamin D. Thankfully, my PhD was on vitamin D supplementation on women, premenopausal women. And there's a misconception that, a lot of people ask me, the early morning sun, does it help in vitamin D? Yes, sunlight does help. But the main sunlight, where the conversion happens, the wavelength of the sunlight, between 11 a.m. and 2 p.m. is the main time where our skin needs to be exposed to sunlight for the maximum conversion, of vitamin D to take place. It is important also, to avoid sunscreen, because that will prevent the synthesis that happens on the skin. When the UV light hits the skin, subcutaneously you have the synthesis, the start of the metabolism of the vitamin D. So it's important, therefore, to avoid sunscreen if somebody has a low vitamin D levels. I think it is, I've also found that it is associated with all kinds of medical conditions. A deficiency in vitamin D is associated also with schizophrenia, with depression, with respiratory conditions, with skin, psoriasis, cancer. It has got, having vitamin D also kills, it helps in improving the cancer, for cancer patients. So I think it's gained importance of late. I think a simple thing and easy to understand is plants need sunlight to grow. Likewise, we humans, we need sunlight to grow. Vitamin D levels are also associated with how close you are to the equator. The further away from the equator, you need more vitamin D, the higher altitude. And it's not enough to sit by the window and say, which is facing, you have sunlight coming through the window. If your windows are shut where you have your glass, you're not going to get any vitamin D. You've got to keep it open for the UV lights to hit your skin for the, for the synthesis of vitamin D. The darker skin tone that one has, the more exposure to sunlight is required. And, going to the last element, like I talked about, the earth, water, air, fire, space. We also, when we talk about fasting here in naturopathy, they talk about fasting in terms of with juices, not just fasting by having nothing at all, but having juices is, the space element of nutrition. It's important to have your meals on time, and basically at least, you have, if possible, at least the 2 main, Ayurveda and naturopathy talk about 2 main meals, one around 10:30, 11 in the morning, and the other around 5:30, 6 before it gets dark. So ideally, these are the 2 times that you need to have the main meals, but something for breakfast, yes, it is important. It's not to to maintain your blood sugar levels so that you don't have a dip in your blood sugar because of lack of food in your system. But I'm just referring to the 2 main meals. If possible, that is an ideal situation. Otherwise, we have the breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And so anyway, I just wanted to share some of the thoughts, in a very quick manner and point form, to demystify this, about nutrition. I think there are a lot of fads, a lot of things being talked about. I think if we just go back to our traditional eating methods, we know traditionally each one, based on their tradition, what you traditionally eat, it's best to be eating that way. And eating healthy, it's possible. Eating organic, if you can grow your own, great. So eating healthy, fresh is possible. and it can be tasty. And I think more important than even, the world over, they talk about weight loss and stuff like that. I think it is most important to be healthy and fit. That is most important. You can be very slim, but you have a whole lot of medical condition. What's the point? So I think the focus needs to be on health and being well. Thank you so much. I hope it's been informative. Thank you.
Thank you, Doctor. That was definitely very, very helpful. We have a question from Sirini Mysore. Sirini, would you like to come in and ask your question?
Sure. Thank you, Nalini. And hello, ma'am. It's been such an informative session with so many takeaways to help us lead a very healthy lifestyle. Ma'am, my question to you is, what is the most sustainable way for modern women to keep up to their nutrition as everyone is busy working in corporate or leading a very, very hectic lifestyle? Can you help us with this?
Were you asking what is the...
Yeah, what is a sustainable way for modern...
echoing a bit, sorry.
Oh, sorry. What is a sustainable way for modern women to keep up to their nutrition as everyone is busy working in corporates or leading a very hectic lifestyle?
Okay. I think going back to what I said, for everyone, ensuring balanced meals for yourself and for your children, for your family. I think that is what is most important. Depending on the height of the person, then you have the requirement of the basic weight that one should have is there, as long as you're not underweight. Because for each height, there is a chart which you have a basic weight that you need to maintain to be healthy, not underweight. I would say that generally, it's very difficult to say because it's, each one is different. But a rough, if I were to say on a rough approach, 55 kilos to 65 kilos. I mean, it's very, very subjective. Actually, it will be wrong on my part to actually give you a weight offhand. It is very personal to each person. But I think, like as I said, most important, eat well, eat on time. What is most important is to ensure that you are healthy.
Thanks. That was very correct anyway. We have another question from Bia Taneja. Bia, would you like to come in and ask your question? Actually, we have loads of questions, but due to paucity of time, we're opening up just one more for you. Bia?
Good evening. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Good evening, Dr. Suja. Thank you so much for those wonderful tips. Extremely enlightening. Learned so much. My question to you is it okay to cleanse your body by fasting from time to time? Is fasting good for your body?
Yes. Ideally, if it's possible to follow a regimen of weekly once, having a fasting. Like when I say fasting, we're talking about the juice diet. I think that's a good idea. If you can do it minimum one day or one or 2 days in a week, give yourself, whenever it's convenient, whenever it is practically possible, to have once a week. Ideally, if you can have just a juice diet, it's not then so difficult to follow, because if you go on a continuous juice fast, you may feel tired, your eyes drawn in, you're feeling like headaches, other things could come in. So once a day, once a week is an ideal way to have fasting with juices. I would recommend, yes.
Okay, thank you. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Thank you. That was a very relevant question also, Bia. And a lot of people are doing intermittent fasting and things like that. So it's good to know what's right for us. I'm sorry, because of shortage of time, we're not going to entertain any more questions for you, Dr. Suja. And now we have in our midst somebody who is a huge celebrity, who everybody is waiting to hear. We have Mr. Mahesh Bhupati, India's professional tennis player, the one who brought a very good name to India. He was the first Indian to win a Grand Slam tournament. With his win at the Australian Open mixed doubles in 2006, he joined the elite group of 8 tennis players who have achieved a career Grand Slam in mixed doubles. He is also the founder of International Premier Tennis League. In December 2016, Mr. Bhupati was appointed as India's Davis Cup captain and took over the reins from Ms. Anand Amritraj in 17. He was conferred the Padma Shri in 2001. Mr. Mahesh Bhupati, excuse me, I would like everybody to please mute themselves. Mr. Mahesh Bhupati is best known as one of the top doubles players of the 1990s and 2000s. His partnership with Leander Paes earned the duo 3 doubles titles in 1999. Mr. Bhupati and Paes also became the first doubles team to reach the finals in all the 4 Grand Slams, the first time since 1952. Mr. Mahesh Bhupati has a tennis academy which trains young people in learning tennis as a professional sport. He is also married to the Bollywood actress Lara Datta. We'd like to invite Mr. Mahesh Bhupati to address us. Mahesh, would you like to come in?
Yeah, thanks everyone.
Hi.
Thanks for that long introduction. So obviously, as you know, I've been a professional tennis player for about 20 years. And, when you're trying to compete day in and day out at the highest level in any sport, health and well-being play an integral part of that, both physically and mentally. Obviously, we did not have the tools we have today that we had back then. I wish we did. I wish we had the science. I wish we had the learnings. But back then we used to just get by with what we heard. When my career spanned about 20 years, and the process that I saw towards the end of my career vis-a-vis the process that was when I had first come on tour was very different. And I wish, obviously, that I was part of this new generation that is so much more scientific. So that's why I think today tennis is probably one of the most physical sports out there. The athletes, take care of their pre-recovery meals, post-recovery meals, and it, really goes into creating an athlete today is pretty much a science. Talent lies, hard work lies everywhere. Everyone knows how to hit a forehand. Everyone can be taught how to hit a backhand. But at the end of the day, the edge comes from how well you look after yourself off the court, which again comes back to what all the speakers today have been saying, which is, well-being both mentally and physically. And just to kind of take a cue from a little bit from what Sid was saying earlier on, trying to kind of make a difference and change the landscape. I have tried, the product at Vegolution, and it's incredibly tasty. So I have no doubt that as they educate the fans and the masses, I think it will definitely pick up and be a rage. So yeah, I can only kind of share experiences, so it's probably easier if if there are any questions, because I can go on and on about how I was craving to eat chocolates and vada sambar and I wasn't allowed to, and I had to kind of stick to the pastas and the salads, but that's boring for you guys to hear.
I do remember, Mahesh, you wanting to eat vada sambar at my house when you were in school, right?
Yep. That didn't stop.
Oh, good. Over to you, Nalini. I think you can ask the question.
Yes, Mahesh, I believe it's a very disciplined life, a lot of disciplined eating. And I hear a lot of, but then you have achieved so much, and I'm sure in the end it was worth it all. So we have a question for you from Mr. Harinag. Mr. Harinag, are you there? Would you like to ask your question? Is he there? Okay, let's take on, I think there's another question from Mr. Chetan Jasrani. Mr. Chetan Jasrani.
Hi. Yes, am I audible?
Yes.
Yeah, hi, thank you, Nalini. Hi, Mahesh. I have a question on basically, I have a 12-year-old in school. Just wanted to know, how do we train kids from a very young age in school to build mental toughness. I know physical toughness will come through sports and whatnot, but the mental part is, as you've said, is very important to get that edge. Could you shed some light on that?
It's not easy. I think at that age when they're so young, I think it's mainly encouragement from the parents and their ecosystem, because obviously in school, in sports day or exams, there's always going to be disappointment, right? Everyone's not going to come first or win the race. I've got a 9-year-old, and while I always try to preach, no one remembers who comes second. When they're growing up, I don't think that's the right attitude. It's a fine line. I'm not a fan of saying, participation should deserve a medal. I still kind of encourage, crossing that finish line and being on the podium. But I think obviously everyone can't do it. So at that age, man, mental toughness it's a lot of encouragement, not allowing them to give up. I mean, kids like to oscillate from, one hobby to another, just because things don't work out, or, they came fourth in the Spanish test. So, you got to keep encouraging them to be at it, because, I can promise you that when I was a junior 18-year-old, I was probably ranked 8 or 9 in the country in India, but the first 8 guys never made it. I kept at it. My parents, my dad was, brutal when it came to belief and encouragement. And I think that's what kind of made the difference for me at the end.
Thank you. Over to you, Nalini. Thank you so much.
Can I ask a question, if that's okay? We have time?
Yeah, sure.
Hi, Mahesh.
Sure.
Actually, I am an athlete too, and I have gone into pistol shooting. And at my age, I'm one of the oldest. I'm 55, and
Nice.
I'm the state player. And when you're talking about mental stability and toughness, that is something that we have been working in many ways about through meditation and through other holistic ways. And my daughter trains me in Pilates for my physical fitness. But many times, what happens is, like when you mentioned, it's not easy to keep tough all the time, that calmness, because this sport, we have to be extraordinarily calm. And I just wanted to check, like, in what other way would you suggest? Because age is a factor. We are shooting along with 13-year-olds, which the way they look at a sport or a competition is so different than what we look at. So I just want, because this is a question that has been in my mind, 2 things. One is there any special, especially the nutrition part? One is that. And secondly, the mental, how do you prepare yourself for something big that would be coming through?
Well, I think, there is a saying that the older you get, the harder you got to work, right? Because you are competing with youngsters, and they're faster, they're fitter, and probably sharper as well when it comes to, hand-eye coordination, mental stability, and everything. So, from that perspective, if they're working 5 hours a day, you're going to have to work 7 hours a day at least to compete. But obviously, if you're doing something at this age and you're taking it up, obviously there's a passion, which I think is half the battle won. If you have the passion and the willingness to work, I think that's great. But yeah, I mean, you got to check all the boxes and make sure you're working harder than everybody else. And disappointment will be there because no one's expecting. But I think from your perspective, you've got nothing to lose, right?
Yes.
I think that's the benefit.
The best part is I do win medals, so it gives me some kind of happiness there that yes, I am competitive. But again, as you say, I'm not like looking at all the time that we can't be winners all the time. But
Yeah.
yes, I mean, even if you don't win, but it should be that you perform well. So that's my focus.
Yep. That's the right attitude.
Hello. I think, we have another question now from can we move on? Some disturbance? Mahesh?
I think that's so much.
Hello.
Nalini, please go on. Yeah,
Yeah.
with Sheetal, please. Yeah.
Yeah, I just invited Sheetal. I don't know if you can hear me. Sheetal, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Yeah.
There's some disturbance on the phone. I don't know if you can hear me.
Now we can hear you.
Thank you. Hi, Mahesh.
Yes, go ahead, Sheetal. We can hear you.
Yeah, okay. Hi, Mahesh. I just wanted to know, for those who are not athletes, what would be the best way to stay fit without hurting your joints and muscles and ligaments? And how do we get started on a exercise regime? Do we always have to invest in a personal trainer? What would be the best thing to do for a non-athlete to get fit in terms of exercise?
I mean, today there's 100,000 programs that you can find online. There are a few personal trainers on this chat as well. I know that for a fact. I don't think you need to invest in a physical personal trainer, but doing stuff that you get off YouTube or other influencers online for fitness. And obviously, if you're starting off new, you start off slow. But in reality, with no pain, there's no gain. So if you're looking to get fit, there is going to be a lot of pains and aches as you kind of build your fitness.
So if like I have a back problem with my L5S1, so I wanted to know, for someone like me, I've always had a problem even when I've had a personal trainer. So is the only option walking? Is walking the best option, or do I need to, because even yoga gives me a problem sometimes. So I'm kind of very bound by all these restrictions.
Yeah, so I've had my L5S1 fused via surgery, so I'm kind of have a sense. But there are specific exercises which you can strengthen the muscles around the L5S1. I think for a couple of months. Once that gets stronger, then you kind of branch out into doing other stuff. But I think it's important to strengthen those muscles around the spine, specifically the lower back, and then after that you can do it.
Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you, Sheetal. Thank you, Mahesh.
Thanks, Nalini.
It was wonderful hearing you. And we have a question from Mr. Somya Rout as well for you. Soumya, are you here?
Yes, I am. Hi, Mahesh.
Hi.
It's always good to listen to you because of your experience and because of what you have done for the country. Just one question that I would like to ask you is, as an athlete, how much do you think recovery plays a role?
No, I think it is one of the main factors in being able to train as hard on Tuesday as you did on Monday, right? I mean, if you don't give your body everything vis-a-vis food, vis-a-vis sleep, vis-a-vis water, vis-a-vis salts, ice baths. I mean, at our level, we had ice baths every day. So, you need to recover. Otherwise, you want to train 5-6 days a week at the same pace, at the same intensity. And, if you don't focus on your recovery, your stretching, your massage, I mean, it's just a endless list, which is a very big part of it.
Have you ever, like in your career, was there any mental coach with you who would also help you recover mentally?
Not recover, but discuss probably. I mean, there was not really recovery needed mentally, but just chatting about what went wrong or what the mindset should be at the right time, or etc. etc.
Thank you so much, Mahesh.
Thank you. So we're almost at the end of our session, and we are Soumya, I'm going to invite you to wrap up the session. But before that, let me just say a few words about you. So Mr. Somya Rout is a celebrity sports physiotherapist. Now, why do we call him celebrity? Because he works with the likes of Prakash Padukone, Deepika Padukone, Ranveer Singh, the Kannada actor Yash Gowda, Sharmila Mandre, and of course the Indian team, and so many more. The list is endless. What makes him so sought after? He has a fellowship in sports sciences from the Apollo hospitals, a certification in Asian football sports physiotherapy, certification in manual therapy, certified strength and conditioning trainer, international consultancy, and many, many more. Mr. Somya Rout has been the academy head for the former Ranji team, the head for Indian football team, Vietnam Tennis Open, Sports Authority of Gujarat. He's the founder of Stairs Physiotherapy and Fitness. Over to you, Soumya, for a wrap up and what you felt.
Thank you so much, Nalini, for introducing me. I feel probably I'm blessed to be part of this session. It's a privilege for me to be a part of this session. I would like to thank Just Speak for conducting sessions like this, which is a requirement probably for everybody. First of all, I would like to thank Dr. Mathai. I mean, he's an institution actually, and the SOUKYA is, I would say, it's more of an institution where concerns like health and wellness has been treated holistically. His idea, his approach, I really appreciate him for all the effort that he has been putting in and helping a lot of individuals in their health conditions. To wrap up, as Dr. Mathai said, health and wellness, health being, it's all about being sound in body, mind, and spirit. It's a state of complete physical, mental, and social well-being. And wellness, it's all about the lifestyle choice characterized by personal responsibility. It's all about optimal enhancement of the physical, mental, and spiritual health. So health and wellness, what I understood is from this session is all about, starts with awareness and education regarding oneself, which becomes very important. It's all starts with the mental health assessment, musculoskeletal assessment, importance about the nutrition, diet, sleep, recovery, how yoga and meditation plays a very important role. Like I am the co-founder of Stairs Physiotherapy and Fitness, where musculoskeletal assessment has been the most important part. Many people come to, including athletes, they come and complain of pain on one part of the body, say for example, the right knee. So it's very important for them to realize the way they stand, what is happening to the arches of the foot when they stand, what's happening to the hip, what is happening to the knee when they stand, how are the muscles coming into picture. Most of the time we see that the quads are more dominant. The gluteals, which is around the hip, they do not provide that stability. There would be internal rotation of the hip, causing too much of stress around the knee. So that's how it becomes very important to be aware so that we can work on prevention. That's what Dr. Mathai emphasized on. It's all about working on prevention, finding the present situation where we are standing right now. Anxiety and depression has been one of the most, one of the biggest complications right now in this present situation, because of which obesity, autoimmune diseases, cardiac anomalies, fibromyalgia is one more condition, etc. We all encounter all these things. So how do we, try a holistic approach where mind and body is taken into consideration, where myofascial techniques like marma therapy, Shirodhara, myofascial release techniques, when you combined with mind work, with the help of a mental coach or a psychologist or a psychiatrist, when we combine with proper nutrition, when we try to bring things together, we can provide the best to an athlete, we can provide the best to any individual. That has been, but unfortunately, the important part is we are not aware. Sessions like this are important factors, important platforms where we are aware, we get this awareness of what we need to do on a daily routine. Also, Mr. Siddharth Ramasubramanian, I mean, the amount of effort that has been putting in to create something which is very relevant, and very nutritious. At the same time, he's trying to emphasize more on taste. He's trying to emphasize more on the nutritious part of the food, which is not when we combine both the components together. So these are revealing factors. Where we need to start inculcating this into our daily routine, eating habits, especially Dr. Suja, when she mentioned a lot about facts about nutrition. I didn't know about chewing gums. And that's something which is very interesting. Even sunlight, say for example, we speak about early morning sunlight around 6 o'clock or 7 o'clock, but the maximum absorption happens around 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. That's something very enlightening. Meals, two important meals, which we should take around 11 a.m. and in the evening around 5 to 6 p.m., which is before the sunlight. Very important points. Like probiotics, high-rich, high fiber diets. These are all about demystifying health and wellness. I would like to thank everybody, for all their efforts, especially Mahesh, who has been an example to all athletes, especially all the tennis players. Not only because of his efforts that he has been putting, but also leading by an example, creating athletes, and emphasizing more about mental wellness, health and wellness. Thank you so much, Just Speak and the entire team, especially Dr. Mathai, for enlightening us with so much of knowledge, which is beyond measure. And also Reshma for giving me this opportunity. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Soumya. That was very well wrapped up. And thanks to everybody who has been here. I'm going to now hand over to Vasantha for the formal vote of thanks. Vasantha, it's over to you.
Thank you, everyone, and especially Soukya for presenting today's session with Just Speak, and Vegolution for partnering with us, and all those wonderful speakers. Dr. Issac Mathai, of course, the chief guest of the show, was absolutely excellent, and also for the technical support from the Rathis, and also Nishka, who has been very supportive, and all those people who are present here, and you have always supported Just Speak. Thank you so much. Thank you, my team, for standing with me as pillars to conduct these events more and more. Thank you.
Thank you. It was a wonderful event. It's always a pleasure being part of this.
Yeah.
Bye.